the time, training, or the inclination for strategic thought.
Let's play cricket.
Knowledge Daddies.
Oscar Desiderio's coming in the room. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Oscar?
Nothing much. I'm just hanging. What up with you?
Nothing. I like your shirts.
Mm.
Your shirt on shirt combo action.
I got shirts on shirts,
Styling. Oh, Jimmy. I thought that was just Van Gogh. That's cool. Who's he talking to?
He's just talking to himself.
Who's beside him though?
It's Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell of the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, look what I picked up. Someone was throwing this out in the street. Not the bananas.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain what thing you're talking about because there's just so much going on there. And okay, but if you can't see what he's showing me, it's like there's like wires hanging down on top of like a thing that looks like it's held together with like poles and like platforms and wires, and there's like bananas and there's a scale under it. I don't know. Like, did you pick up all of that? Does that come in one thing, or is that separate things? I can't tell exactly.
Sean just entered, so I'll wait till he joins. So, so he I don't have to explain it twice.
Yeah. I feel like that's gonna be quite an explanation.
Yeah, but he's taking forever to join. I don't know what's happening here.
Oh, screw him then.
Okay, well, it's a 3D printer.
Oh shit! Damn, someone was throwing out a 3D printer.
Yeah, and they said it works. They said it just needs an update.
That's why it looks so complicated. It is a complicated thing.
Yeah, and like, I at first I was like, does this just print like pickup sticks? Because it looks like it just goes straight up and down.
Yeah.
But the way it, I guess, moves side to side is like one of these orange, these orange things goes down, and then it can move to the side. See?
Oh yeah. What are you planning on making with that? Nothing good.
Pickup sticks.
Pickup sticks.
No, I don't know what I'm gonna make. I mean, I'm gonna try. I think it just uses plastic, so it's not like I can make crazy shit. But I was looking at it. It looks like a lot of the parts that they made it out of were 3D printed, which is cool. And then some of the parts look like they were laser cut. There's like some really intricate wood parts that looks like they were maybe laser cut out or something.
So did those bananas on top come with the 3D printer, or is that your addition?
That's my addition. I'm trying to justify putting a 3D printer in my very tiny apartment by using it as a banana table.
Yeah, all right. That's kind of a cool thing to have.
I mean, if at the very least it looks fucking cool and like I can put shit on it, like I gotta find something that's appropriate for the amount of space if I don't use it as a 3D printer. But because Frankie, I showed it to Frankie and she's like, I'm never coming to your apartment again. It's so fucking chaotic and cluttered.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe you don't have to go to the store ever. You just print new things you need.
I'll print food. I don't know why Sean's not joining. He's probably texting you.
Is Zoom being weird for anyone else?
No, tell him it's just him.
Just you, dog.
Tell him we see him trying to join, but it's, obviously it's not working.
Yeah, we see you trying. but you just gotta try harder.
Yeah, maybe go fucking use your data or switch to a different device or something. Oh, here he is. Here's Shawnee boy himself. Hello, Sean. Hello, my friend. Can you
Oh,
hear?
he's on.
But he's a dark square.
Yeah, he's a monolith.
Yeah, he is. He's 2001 Space Odyssey. Man, the chimps are barking at him. Hello, Sean. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, buddy? I'll direct message you.
It just says connecting, says Sean.
Oh, that's weird. That's very strange.
Yeah.
Make
Well.
hosts, put in waiting room. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do with Sean. We just
Well,
gotta ignore him.
let's keep going. We'll see what happens. It'll be exciting.
Have you ever used a 3D printer or tried to print something or something?
I've tried to print something. I've never used a 3D printer before.
I meant with a 3D printer, not with a regular.
No, I've never used a 3D printer. I wouldn't know how to do it. What program one would use or anything.
Yeah.
He's just gonna restart his computer.
Okay. Mike.
Hello, Michael.
Can you hear us?
Yo, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Cool.
I love all the ferns and various overgrowth behind you.
Yeah, man. This is our little cabin here. It's
Ooh.
That's sick. I've been there.
Yeah.
It's on. I don't want to blow up your spot. I'm not gonna say where it is.
no, it's all good. Yeah, thanks. It's just tucked away in the woods. That's all.
Yeah, in the Pacific Northwest, somewhere in Sasquatch country.
Nice.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to live here. Sasquatch just throws pine cones at the house and fucks with us in the dark.
That's not good.
He draws impressionistic paintings with his turds.
You could probably use a 3D printer
disturbing.
to print weapons to defend yourself against the Sasquatch.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd cry just waiting for them to finish.
Yeah.
And it might sound like a Sasquatch mating call, and then you'd attract more of them.
Eh.
We're talking about
that's one of the top drawbacks of 3D printing.
and crying.
That's right.
We're talking about 3D printing because I picked this guy up. Oh, look at those bananas.
Oh yes, nice. That's a Delta style one.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
got the three.
three.
Yeah, just like the three rods, and then it's got it controls each rod independently, each of those three, and that's what determines your XY coordinate is sort of the triangulation of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling no one knows what 3D printers are, how to work them.
That's not.
Who actually knows how to use that thing?
It's a conspiracy.
I wouldn't say conspiracy. It's just too complicated.
Yeah, I mean, Michael knows how to use them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you just got to get the right software stack working for you, and then have geeks that are willing to spend like countless hours dialing it in terms of its rigidity, because otherwise the quality is shit if it's not all rigid as fuck. Sorry, I'm speaking very eloquently.
The rigidity, by rigidity, do you mean like the physical rigidity of what you're printing, or like some other type of rigidity?
Yeah, like every little machine nut and bolt to that thing, the material properties themselves, how much they flex, like the rods that it's all connected with, the structure itself has a given amount of flex. So it's like if you're trying to create a part accurately, but there's jitter from a bolt or flex from the structure itself, then your final printing head is a little off in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And so like making that all super tight. Oh, we got a new
A
guy
new
here,
a new
Sean.
a new challenger has entered the stadium.
Yes, I am finally here. Sorry about. I have no idea why it's not letting me in on my laptop, but I'm here on my phone.
There you go.
Welcome, Sean. We were just talking about
Nice.
rigidity and how I printed these beautiful bananas.
Oh,
Oh,
sick. Those look real.
very cool.
It's magic.
But Michael, okay, I really just brought you here to tell me how to get my 3D printer to work. Because someone
You
I
gotta
found it.
The beautiful thing about USB is it's universal, and you just shove the rectangle end up your ass.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
I
first
can't,
step.
I
Do you
can't-
have that done?
I can't find the USB input.
There you go.
I literally can't. I looked pretty hard.
Wait, what? Oh wow. Does
But
does it just have like a little microcontroller board with pins popped off it?
It's got pins. I see where there would be an adapter to plug into the wall, an AC adapter. I see where that would go. I don't know what the right impedance or fucking milliamps or whatever it is.
Voltage.
Yeah, you know the right electricity terms, but I don't. I'm
What?
just gonna I'm just gonna say a bunch of them. You know the ohms. I need the right ohms. Yeah, man. But yeah, I literally they were getting rid of
Luck.
like I saw a bunch of like stuff labeled free, and there was a cabinet, there was some CDs, and there was this 3D printer, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna take this 3D printer. And then these guys are like, do you want that? And it's like these two like really competent looking engineer looking guys sitting on the side of the sidewalk, just like eating their lunch. And I was like, yeah, it looks cool. And they're like, are you gonna use it? And I'm like, maybe. Does it work? And they're and he said it just needs like new software. And I talked with him about the USB, and then I couldn't find the USB. So now it's a banana stand.
There have been worse banana stands.
Yeah. But anyway, Michael, I want to talk to you about, you have so many interesting areas of expertise and experience, and I want to get to some of that. Like you recently came off of a sailing voyage. You sailed the Pacific coast, and you started as just a crewman, and you wound up being first mate. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. Like the way that worked out is we left La Conner, Washington, which is up north near the San Juans, sailed out of like Anacortes, which is this little pinch point called Deception Pass, where the tides get the Venturi effect because they're focused in that pinch point. And so basically
wait.
like any
I feel like you're describing some kind of like J.R.R. Tolkien sailing novel here.
I'd make no sense to me one way or the other.
How did you get to be first mate? Did the other people die?
Wait. He was
How do you
getting there.
everybody
He was
shit-
getting there. He was getting there. But I want to stop him on a couple things. Okay. What were the name of those islands?
the San Juans.
Okay, so that's like, how do you get there?
I mean, usually you drive north of Seattle up the coast, halfway to Bellingham. You'd turn left towards Anacortes, which is this little peninsula that juts out towards the islands. And then they have a ferry station that will take you. You get a ferry ticket and you load up your car, your bikes, whatever shit, and ferry out to some of the harbors out there and end up on the island that you want with your car. The other way is people sail there. That's like a famous sailing location if you want to be camping out for a few days as you sail around some islands.
I just want to set this up too. So you've been sailing with your family since you were a little kid, right?
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
You guys are real Norwegian Vikings.
They try real hard.
But you're the most peaceful, liberal Vikings ever.
Well, that's the thing about Norwegians. Like, if you study Norwegians or are interested in their culture, what I found is that Norwegians are very like they're socialist in spirit, but they have like the most powerful like backing of death at their disposal. Like they're very integral to the military industrial complex. They're integral to logistics and are vital to sort of the lifeblood of global commerce and economies. So I think part of the way that we achieve our calm is by like having intimidation and like violence in our background.
That's fair. I got a really nice tiny green plate from Norway the other day, and I thought of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't think about the military industrial complex, and I probably should have.
I don't know. I'm not trying to say what you should think of or anything, but I don't know. It's just a funny thing I reflect on when I notice somebody who's calm. I'm like, oh, they could probably kick my ass. Or like, you know, countries that seem peaceful. It's like, oh yeah, they're
Vladimir Putin is like that.
Mm.
I felt like that the other day. I was riding riding up the wrong way, one-way street on a city bike, and this guy stepped out in between two cars, and I like braked well in time for him to stop. I mean, obviously I was doing the wrong thing, but you know, I wasn't familiar with that street. I wasn't used to biking, and the guy was like, "This is the wrong street," and I'm like, "I know, go, keep going." And he's like, "Don't tell me what to do, jerk off." But there was a second there
He
where
really said that's so New York.
yeah, but there was a second before I responded, was like, "Oh yeah, I think I could beat this guy's ass," before I said anything.
Huh.
Yeah.
Before you're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, but okay. So Sean Barry, you entered the room again. What are you doing?
I'm trying to get back in on my computer. I'm just entering multiple times. I'm sorry. This is a night. I'll stop.
Just stay where you are. You're fine. You're not even talking, so you're fine. Okay, so you were talking about some kind of weird vorpal toroidal wave syndrome. I'm just using big words.
Yeah, it afflicts the mind of the stupid or confused. It sends a cacophony of vortexes off the island structures in this little pinch point, and so it's known as Deception Pass because it will fuck you up if you try and go through while the tides are moving, because it spins the water all these ways. And so I think the first step in becoming first mate was like knowing what the tides were doing. And I had this website that I like, it's deepzoom.com. It animates the tides. It gives you like these like arrows that show you what they're doing right now, and you can play through the day so you know what to expect. And so like given the speed of the boat, I was able to back time our departure to say, okay, if we depart at 12:50, we're going to hit Deception Pass at like 2:30, and that's when it's right in between the tides, you know. And so it's like a slack. It's come in, it's at the slack point where it's all still chilling before it starts to go out. And so if you can hit the pass at that point, then it's breezy, like everything's calm. And so that was a good move, I think, for sure. It was very impressive to the captain and the other first mate at the time.
And
how are you? This is how it should be.
How are you feeling when you were on the ferry on the way to the boat, and then how are you feeling when you made that recommendation?
On the ferry on the way to like start the journey?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect because it was a new captain for me. It was a new first mate as well, and a new boat. I didn't know what kind of condition the boat was going to be in. Turns out that it had been chilling, semi-neglected, semi-cared for about 1.5 years, while a rich guy who was remote was living on the East Coast and never even sailed it, not even once. It's like a $500,000 boat, hanging out in harbor. It's beautiful catamaran. It's like 38 feet long and 2 hulls for a catamaran. modern composite materials. So it was all like cast in resin and like fancy plastics around a fiberglass hull with like fancy looking trim. Anyway, it was this weird blend of like a ritzy boat that was also kind of falling apart.
Mm.
Because it had just been like built to look fancy, but it hadn't been built like by craftspeople who cared at all. So like the trim inside was coming off and things were breaking throughout the journey.
Not exactly confidence
Yikes.
inspiring.
I have another question about deceptive point. Like
Deception pass.
deceptive point. What creates
Yeah.
those? Yeah, what creates those vortexes, those cacophony of vortexes that you're like mentioning? Is there something about like the topography of like the land or what's under the water? Like, how is that? Why is it just like that point that's like completely nuts?
Okay. So that point is I think it's I'm gonna bullshit a little bit here. I don't
That's what we
really
do.
know.
Please. And I think
it's the kind of rocks that are coming down into the water from on high, because it's got a bridge that's like 200 feet up. So you can imagine the land around this little point is pretty high, but there's still a passage through that. And so it's this this like strong rock formation that comes down at a pretty steep pitch like this, like straight up, and then the bridge is way the fuck in the sky over you. And then there are all these rock formations that pretty much jet up like vertically out of the water. They have little crags, and sometimes they connect to the larger land formation. But you've got the tide, and so you can imagine like if you were to if you imagine a river moving at a certain pace, you got a large volume of water, and if all of a sudden the river narrows in like some kind of geologic formation, it's gonna jet. It'll like move fast there because you have the same volume of water trying to get from point A to point B, but now it's constricted, and so it jets. And so part of what this rock formation is doing is it's taking the tides that have moved inland from the Pacific Ocean through this huge passage, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, through this huge strait, and then hit this little formation. And like that river, it's just going to jet through there. And so then that jet is hitting these other rock formations at extra high velocity and has to move around their contours, changing its direction, which forms these like weird positive negative pressures, and it will start to spiral as it like changes. And so that if you end up on accident, like not recognizing that you happen to be on spiraling water, it will just like turn you weirdly.
The Strait of Juan de Fuca. She's a cruel mistress. But that makes sense. It's almost like creating English in pool, it's like hitting the water and creating little spirals, right?
Do you guys know pool?
Creating English?
Like if you hit a pool ball off slightly to the off center, the ball will spin and you can manipulate the spin. But I'm imagining these waves of water are hitting the rock formations and then creating spin in different layers and regions of spin.
I was gonna say it's like a hot tub, but
and your ass is the rock jutting out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The jet stream hits your asshole, and then you fart back into it, and it creates a vortex.
I call my asshole the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Okay, moving on. So you gain confidence immediately off the bat from your captain. He was like, "Yeah, Michael's awesome."
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like won some points to be able to time that deception pass at the slack tide, no doubt, because it was super chill going through there, no problem steering. We just motored through. We had a couple Honda outboard motors that this boat was pretty cool. It's got two hulls, as a catamaran, and then two motors like inside of each hull. And so we had basically a propeller on each part of the boat. And with a super gas efficient motoring system, easy steering, it was like no problem at all. And it turned what could be a harrowing experience into like a chill experience. Anyway, we just kept on going through the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and that evening we rounded Cape Flattery, which is like the northwestmost point on the U.S.
You know what they say?
Um,
Cape Flattery will get you everywhere.
on the rocks.
Yeah.
Just so it was cool. It was like classic. I don't know, Cape Flattery. Yeah, I wish I was better at rolling with humor.
That's
That
fine.
wasn't humor. Was there any casualties?
No. The toilet. We lost the toilet. It broke.
Oh,
So you pump the toilet when you're out there on the boat. There's a black water tank, like a holding tank, and you pump everything up into it. So there's like a clean water tank and a black water tank, and you have like clean water reserves that turn into black water as you're pumping everything through. And the handle on that, they call it the head, because marine people call everything weird shit. The head broke, and so the handle on the pump just sheared off in one of my mate's hands. And he was like, full disclosure, this happened. It's a bad design though. And basically that was kind of crazy. Like the one casualty was that we weren't able to shit on the boat, and so we were like hanging off the back of the boat with our asses over moving water, just
the whole time, the whole trip, or did you get it fixed eventually?
like harnessed in. No, that was like pretty early on though. It was like that was less than half of the way through.
Wow.
How long was the trip?
It ended up being 21 days total.
Wow.
Down the coast. So
but
it was
initially
from Washington down to San Diego.
Initially it was supposed to be much shorter.
The initial prediction was 5 to 6 days. Yeah.
Was it the vortex?
No.
It was a different kind of vortex, I think. Just I don't really know what to say about that. But anyway, that's how long it took.
So wait, you made it past. Okay, so you're out of Washington. How's Oregon? How's the coast of Oregon for you?
The coast of Oregon was cool. We stopped in Newport, just refueled. We were doing a lot of motoring then with inconsistent winds, and also like just getting out there on the water with a new crew, kind of feeling everyone out. Everyone's feeling everyone out. We didn't want to do all that much night sailing. So we were like motoring all night. And that was kind of cool in its own regard, to like not even worry about sailing. You just set your heading, and the boat practically sails itself or drives itself, because it has an autopilot that's constantly adjusting the rudder angle, so it's steering you. And you set like a waypoint, or you set a certain heading on the compass, and the boat will just do that for you. This fancy boat would do that. And
never heard of that.
It was pretty chill.
I didn't know boats could do that. I only heard of airplanes and Teslas.
Yeah, the boats have a little autopilot. It's got an arm, it's got a piston, it's a linear actuator, like a hydraulic piston, basically just comes out of the shaft and fists the rudder into position.
This all sounds real sexual. It's a shaft, there's a fist, there's a lot of fun stuff happening.
A lot of pumping and sucking.
Again, the head broke, so you had to fist it with the shaft.
Yeah. It's that boat life. So it was chill. I mean, basically, like, we got clear nights. It was ideal conditions, nothing crazy. Just calm, rolling waves, like no light pollution once we got past the coast. It was just like awesome Milky Way. So we spent 2 nights out there just motoring, 2 nights, 2 days, just motoring, sailing a little when the wind picked up, kind of getting used to each other as sailors. And on the second night, it was super cool. There was bioluminescence that was getting lit up by the hull's motion through the water. So it was like,
ooh, that sounds really cool.
It was very cool. It was weirdly like chunky, like these like mats of like light would get like hit by the boat, and then these like chunky mats of light would just like keep lighting up in our wake as they trailed off.
That's so poetic, man. Chunky mats of light.
Yeah, I don't know of a better way to describe it.
No, that's perfect. You did perfect work there.
Did you figure out what it was?
I'm not even being silly.
I
I'm
have
like,
no idea what it was.
I actually love your word choice.
It was like dreams made of starlight.
It's like dirty styrofoam angles of ethereal sonic nippledom. I don't know. Never mind.
That was far out, bro.
Resonating through the fractal multiverse.
Yeah, man. Okay, so you're seeing the Milky Way, you're seeing the dirty mats of light.
Filthy mats of light.
Filthy.
I don't even remember
mats.
what your first word that you said was. I changed it to dirty. What did you say? Chunky.
That's great.
Chunky.
They probably were. Yeah, man. So we were just like traveling through filth for days on end, and then we came into Newport Beach to fill up. That was kind of a trip, like just going through a little passage into Inland Harbor. I mean, there's a harbor on the sea, but it's crazy. Like, I think of traveling the sea as like, okay, there are going to be all these places to stop, but a lot of the Pacific coast is considered very landlocked, like weirdly landlocked, because of how like rugged and steep the coastline is. It would just fuck a boat up. So there are very specific points that you have to like think ahead to. And so we were always trying to have one place in mind that we'd set our sights on as like, okay, this is our goal. And then another place that would be our fallback if anything bad happened. And knowing that the in-between coastline is just super harsh. Like, yeah. So we refueled at Newport, got some like, I don't know, stupid donuts and felt sick, fell over on a park bench, ogled all like the weird fisherman scraps that they have these like bins for, like the fishing boats come in and unload like tons of fish, and then they have these like processing stations like right there in harbor, and there were just like all of these carcasses of like halibut and like expensive fish, like just tossed in these massive bins.
What were you like ogling them to make?
No, I mean, I don't think that any of us were like that adventurous of dumpster divers or anything to delve into that. Just ogling it for me to like see, okay, this is like a part of American industry, and it's an important part of my own diet. I love fish like that. And I had just never really seen how it's done, or like, I don't know. It was just, I still haven't seen how it's done. I just saw the kind of cast-offs after the process was complete.
A lot of waste.
I guess so. I don't know what they do with it. I mean, they probably turn that into like fertilizer or something.
Fish balls or stock or whatever, hopefully.
Yeah, it could be, or like just plant food for large farms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, take that, all you vegetarians. You're eating fish plants. So anyway, move it. I love that. By the way, I just have to say, again, very poetic that most of the Pacific coast is landlocked. That's such a beautiful, mind-expanding sentence.
It was a weird reality too, because it's kind of austere in a way. You're like, okay, I guess we're just stuck out here for days then, and trying to go in between points. And we got hit with the biggest waters that this particular captain had ever been on, and like any of the crew had ever been in. So we were going down towards Crescent City, which is a big harbor. It's fortified. It's heavily fortified. Like, basically, there are all these structures the Army Corps of Engineer dropped into the water to create like a breakwater. It's got this big arm hugging it. That's all like rebar reinforced concrete, like geometric blocks that the Army's dropped into place on top of each other. And there are all these like shipwreck kind of icons around the place about like, okay, shipwrecked here, shipwrecked there, shipwrecked everywhere around it. And there were some other gnarly rock formations, and basically we knew that was our next spot for sure. We had some like wild ambitions. The initial 5 to 6 days was like, if we just went deep out into sea, caught a breeze that happened to be perfect, aligned with the waves so that the waves would catch the boat and surf us towards our destination. That was like what the trip was promoted on was the absolute most optimistic like thinking,
Right.
of like, it's just going to be one like graceful, super swift surf directly towards our destination. But that's not the reality, really.
So you were getting some crazy waves off of what city is this near?
I don't even really know because I wasn't paying attention to the land at all.
Mhm.
I just know it was between Newport and Crescent City, and that's where we got like our biggest surf. Um, we were in like 20-foot waves and 30-knot gusts.
How much is a knot?
A knot is 1.2 miles per hour, something like that.
Oh, I thought it was $5 for a dollar
Why?
at the
Why?
local.
Why don't we use that unit as metric?
Why do people use that?
Yeah, I've always wondered that. Like,
Yeah.
why not keep it kilometers or miles?
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
But we were flying out there, and it was a big surf, and the surf was to our advantage. So we covered a lot of ground on that day. It was a weird kind of like learning process to be like coming to terms with that. This was the highest seas that our captain had been in, on a boat that was like kind of breaking. And yeah, I don't know. It was pretty wild. It was cool though. Like, we took down the mainsail. So the boat had 2 sails, like one in the front, one in the back, and the one in the back was way bigger, and that's the mainsail that was generating most of the power. But the wind was coming from behind us, and so basically, if we had that sail open, it would spin the boat around. Just by virtue of the sail being on the back of the boat, as the wind catches it, it would like pull the back of the boat and twist us. So we took that sail down, and we were going just with the foresail, the jib, and we pulled that sail in. It furls. I don't know if you guys have furled the sail ever before, but it basically just spools onto this like cable. And so you're kind of like shrinking it as you're spooling it in. You're making it small. And so we just had this like little small sail up in front, just to catch enough wind to pull the front of the boat downwind. And that was helpful because of the way that the waves were going. It was basically pulling the front of the boat down the front of the wave, and so it was helping us surf. And that was pretty cool. And it was also crazy, like at times, because part of the weirdness of the waves was that they would come from different angles suddenly. There was like a main direction. There were 2 main directions. So you know how like waves can coexist with each other, and they're coming from multiple directions, and they just like flow into and through each other.
Right.
So like,
I'm getting to know the waves through surfing a little bit. I mean, obviously I'm not deep sea 20-footers yet, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's way rougher to sail when it's multiple waves going at different angles than it is just straight into shore or whatever.
Yeah.
How nervous were you about like something terrible happening as you found out your captain has never experienced something that rough, and you have 20-foot waves like coming onto the boat at multiple directions? Like, were you like, we might die out here? Like, how nervous did you get?
I think I thought that, and then put on my like Norwegian stoic vibe, and just like got real like calm and like focused.
These waves ain't These waves ain't shit. We control the military industrial data source.
Right.
You
got that red button to summon the submarine rescue.
Exactly. So okay, so you
sorry,
put on.
Sean, I talked over you, man.
Oh, no, I made a bad joke.
Not garlic knots. So
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Like my buddy was asking me, like, are you cool with this? You're my barometer. Like, I'm using your level of nervousness to judge how nervous I should be. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool with this. There's one thing that concerns me though, is like when we're surfing down a wave. And so, okay, so you can imagine, I don't know if I can, like, I'm holding the laptop with one hand, so I only have one hand to like gesture with, but there's a wave coming at the boat this way, right? And here's the boat with the two hulls, and it's trying to ride the wave, right? And so like when you're surfing, you kind of want to go against the wave a little bit to like ride it. So you don't want to go straight down the face of the wave. You turn off. And what was happening to us was we would turn off, and then the steering for the boat are two little rudders that are paddles at the back end of the boat that go down into the water, and you turn them and it turns the boat. And like as the wave was lifting our rudders out of the water, we lost the ability to steer. And so we were like riding the waves without the ability to turn, and then the wave would determine like how it wanted to turn us. And then there was this weird thing happening where sometimes it would catch one of the two rudders, and then it would pull us and it would twist us.
Oh shit!
Sideways to the wave, where it felt like dangerous, like the wave could crash over our side. And that happened a few times, and so that was like the one thing where I was like, I feel good about all of this except this one thing that happens. And then like right after I said that, it happened again real bad, and we just got hit with this wave. And there was like this awkward like chill in the conversation where it's like, we're gonna die.
And I imagine if you like had a long enough time to work it out in better conditions, like there probably was a way to steer without the rudders, knowing they weren't going to engage. But then once they did engage again, you'd still be fucked.
It looked like your hand was like almost at like a 90-degree angle from the ground when you were gesturing, like how the boat was surfing the wave. It's like, how tipped over was this boat on this wave?
Yeah, it felt like that. I mean, that's probably a little exaggerated. But yeah, I mean, the wave, like you know the surface of a big wave, right? It's kind of like that. And like we were on the face of waves that were larger than the boat, maybe 20 feet high, but the overall wave was way bigger than that.
You have a seatbelt?
No, we were getting thrown around inside.
Oh Jesus. My God.
Yeah. And the boat owners who, you know, weren't really sailors and didn't really sail had chose these swivel chairs inside, and so the only like chairs to sit in like swiveled like uncontrollably, which, and they also weren't fastened to the ground. They were like swivel lawn chairs.
What?
Yeah,
that's fucked.
Like, these like swivel lawn chairs were like flying around the cockpit.
Oh my God, dude. So how long were you in those 20 footers?
For like 6.5 hours.
Oh my God!
Fucking! How'd you get out? What? How'd you and like what did you have? Did you get to eat? Did you like what?
No, nobody ate anything. But like the captain basically locked into the steering wheel, and he like became one with it, and it was cool to see. And he started taking everyone's feedback like super seriously. So after that comment about like the one thing that I was scared of, he started taking those odd waves that would come from that like oblique angle. Like they would be I think they call them sneakers. Like for whatever reason, the forces align and make one extra big wave, and that just sneaks up on you and you don't expect it. And so these sneakers that were hitting us from the right like became like a focus, and so I started calling him out whenever I saw him, and he figured out how to steer so that it wouldn't catch the rudders, and so he got extra good at surfing those. And I started to feed him information about when they were coming, and I basically just like locked my gaze like a dog gazing out a window, like waiting for its owner. I was just like locked on to that one angle on the water, watching to see if any waves looked like they might overlap and combine into sneakers from that angle. and just like calling it out. And I was wrong a lot of the time. Like it ended up turning into nothing. Um, and I also missed one, but there was, but ultimately, like being able to call that out, I think we called out like probably hundreds over the
Oh
course of 6
wow.
hours.
Holy shit.
Um,
That's
and he
amazing.
was responding to all of it. And like another mate was like keeping his eyes on the digital maps, like watching the direction our boat was headed, calling out any concerns with rocks. Um, and he was awesome. He was like 2 hours ahead of the problem, like when it came to where our boat needed to be. And so that um, brought into attention like the captain was super in the flow of like how not to get hit with these waves, right? And he was generally moving in the right direction, but after a while, like our course, in order to avoid the danger, it like shifted us. So we even though we started, let's say like 60 to 90 miles offshore, we were gradually working our way back towards the rocks. Um,
Mm.
and so like my buddy Matt was calling out like, you have to change your vector. Like look at this on the map. And the captain was in the flow of the waves and everything, being like, I'm not gonna look in the fucking computer right now, dude. But and my buddy was like, no, you have like this is critical. You have to change our course. Um, and he just kind of like kept nagging the captain until the captain like realized he had to radically change our course in order to compensate for having ignored that for so long.
Mm.
um, and so then we had to start cutting over the waves and across them at a like we basically had to do like a 90-degree right turn and start riding over the waves and across them. So we threw on both the motors. Both Hondas were running. um, like 3,000, 4,000 RPM. Just basically, you can imagine this like droning hum of like two motors that uh, got pitch matched so that they harmonized with each other. So there's this like kind of oscillating, like semi-harmonious, semi-dissonant, like rumble of these motors running.
It's like
And they
John.
had just enough force to like start to take us over the waves and get us
s-
like
So
cutting out at the right angle.
you have to time those waves too, because obviously you can't go to crest the wave if it's already starting to break. You have to get to the next wave before then.
Most of these waves were just like massive swells that didn't crest really.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the winds would kind of like shatter the tops of them, like as they
Oh.
peaked and they got hit with like the unrestrained wind, they would
Mm.
kind of like scatter the tops, but it wasn't the type of wave that was curling.
Okay, that's what they call
It was like just massive swells.
That's what we call mushy peaks in surfing. Not good. Not good.
Speaking of mushy peaks, how much vomiting was going on during all this?
Nobody threw up. Nobody threw up. Like one person came really close. And yeah, nobody threw up. We did have one person start to pray and like summon like spirit and just like basically planted on the floor and like eyes closed, just started to basically like internally incant, like using whatever kind of Wiccan power was available.
And they didn't make that person first mate.
That had been the first mate.
I can see why I got demoted.
But they might have saved you guys. Who knows? It could have been.
It actually helped like focus us too, because my buddy who had been freaking out about vectors and whatnot, he had very nervous energy and like to talk through it, and it was distracting for the captain who needed to like lock into that like zen oneness with the waves. And so like when this person started to do that, they also started to like shush my friend, which was super helpful, and shush me, which was probably also super helpful, and basically just like focus the overall like cruise energy.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird when you think? I mean, some people this does happen for, but some people, and myself included, I feel like I become almost the best version of myself in crisis situations. And I think it sounds like most of the crew did that, which is lucky. I mean, maybe praying is not the best version, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I don't know, probably both.
Yeah.
It seemed at once like tuned out but also helpful.
Yeah. It's interesting. So once the wave started calming down, or you got outside of them, what was the vibe then?
So the waves basically continued through another pinch point, which was what was it called? St. George's Passage. So like off of Crescent City, there was this elongated rock formation that had some gaps in it, and you had to thread the needle through passage, and that was just another challenge, and I think it worked out okay. By that point, I think the main surf had subsided. It was maybe half as intense at that point. Um, uh, my buddy who was concerned with vectors, he was also concerned with luage, which is basically like how far the wind blows you off your course. So like the angle that your boat's at, but then there's also like, okay, the wind's against that angle, and so you think you're headed this one direction if you were to project a line off the front of the boat, but where you really end up is going to be somewhere like blown way sideways of that. um, and so he was like, you've got to think of how strong these winds are. You've got to understand the luage in this situation. We're trying to thread this needle, and you've got the winds hitting you from the side, and
It's like,
we have like
I
this
imagine
much margin for error.
I imagine it's like trying to snipe, and you have to account for the wind.
Mm-hmm. Where your final target has to account for the way the wind's gonna change the course.
How strong was the wind?
I don't know how strong it was at that point. I would guess that it wasn't the 35-mile-an-hour gust anymore. I think it was more like 25. It felt way more tame, but it still felt like pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that successfully. It was more dramatic for some people than it was for me. I was like, this is fine. We've got this. Like the Honda motors can account for the luage. I'm not stressing. I just wanted to like enjoy the view, because the rocks were super like beautiful looking, and they were all like crusted white, and we were debating if that was like bird shit or like some mineral.
It's Parmesan.
How do you get to be so chill that you're amidst all this stuff? You're just like, yeah, I just want to look at the rocks. They're really nice, and it's just like everyone's like, we're gonna die.
I don't know. I guess I had the faith in the Honda motors for one thing. Like I'm like a fan now. Like I would promote them, and that for sure helped so much to just know like, okay, we have enough thrust, like enough propulsive force, like we can just propel ourselves where we need to be at this point. And so like that took the stress off. There was probably also some dissociation happening, and like some opioids. Like my brain was probably like force chilling me in a certain way.
But it's also you have experience, and also the situation, because because of your experience, it seemed like a relatively less dire experience, especially compared to the absolute panic that was going on before.
Yeah. Like compared to that, it was pretty chill in that moment.
Was that the craziest sailing experience you've like ever encountered?
Yeah, definitely.
What did the captain say? Did he get candid with everyone about how crazy that experience was?
No, actually, he was the one who was like he was like the most soft-spoken about it all. Like basically in the moment, it was cool to see like he in addition to like locking into his focus and maintaining it like at that like alpha wave level, like his focus was like unbroken for 6.5 hours. And then when we finally got into dock, he was just fucking exhausted. Like it was like he'd been maintaining that for an intense period, and then it just kind of like vanished a bit, and he was just like, fuck, like and he just wanted to have a smoke, and we all just wanted to have a smoke. And so we walked into town and got Thai food, got a pack of cigarettes, got a beer, and just we're like, this is a good meal. We're
a beer
alive.
How many beers?
God damn.
Yeah, probably a few beers.
God damn. Well, Dude, that's an amazing story. I mean, we had talked about it on the phone before, but it's really nice like getting to interview the full story out of you, because there were a lot of because we're just talking on the phone. We're not talking for anyone else's benefit, but it was really cool to hear like all the details and the poetry and the geography and the terminology.
Yeah, there were definitely some poetic moments to all that, no doubt.
Michael and I have known each other since high school, and I feel like out of everyone I know, we always have the best conversations. At least for me, I'm sure you talk to people and enjoy it more, but I don't enjoy anyone else's conversation more.
Oh, ditto, man. It's cool. Like Andrew and I often come back to like some of those formative moments too, like doing adventures right after graduating high school, and like I always think of Andrew as like this nomad in the Mongolian steppe, just like not having cell service, not knowing anybody, like just flying into Japan and like sleeping on a park bench and just being like, I'm gonna fucking figure this out. Like maybe it's woofing, maybe it's whatever, and then ending up just like traveling Asia and meditating in the Mongolian steppe, like to just like vast setting horizons. And I just, that set like a crazy tone for how I view like what you're capable of. Like, holy shit.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah. Well, the both of you definitely make my adventures seem way more tame. I feel like I have adrenaline, like listening to that story about you surfing waves with the sailboat, and it's intense.
Yeah, but I think
Hopefully
the guys
not too unpleasant.
No, it was great. It was great.
Cool.
And I think the guys will agree with me. You have a standing invitation to come back anytime. And I'd love to talk more about programming, carpentry, your coffee adventures, and everything, man. Because I can't.
Right on, man. Thank you.
There's never too much talking with you.
Yeah, like to meet you guys as well. Yeah, Oscar and Sean.
Yeah, that'd be
Thanks for
awesome.
letting me rattle on here and share some stories. But it'd be cool to meet you guys too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm psyched.
Yeah.
I'm psyched to go. I'm going sailing with Michael. For at least not as quite an adventure, but some calm sailing, hopefully, in August.
Yeah,
That
that should
sounds
be
great.
way more chill.
Hey, Michael, do you want anybody to find you, or do you want to remain a secret human?
I like being a secret human at the same time. Thanks, man.
That's
All
right.
All right, I love you, man. Have a great night.
I'm
Yeah, love you
nice
too.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Thank you for
Nice to
coming
meet
on.
you. Yeah, it was a pleasure. All right, peace out.
Peace.
Bye.